want to talk about, dealing with difficult people. Now, wherever work you go to, whatever company, maybe in professional life, or even in student life or in family life, we are bound to deal with difficult people. And this isn't just about dealing with people calmly, but also to get things through, because at the end of the day, we want to work together to aim for a certain aim. So we have both of these people who I want to thank for agreeing to be part of this Fireside chat. And let's move to the first question. Now, when it comes to work environment, we always deal with difficult bosses. And I'm sure if everyone has had like a very difficult superior higher up, maybe a lecturer or just a manager or a supervisor. So I want to give the first question to Alan. So can you share us a little story of a difficult time with a higher up, a superior?
Okay, good evening everyone.
Good evening.
I'll share with you the first difficult manager that I had in my working life. That was back in 2006. So I started, my first career was as an accountant in a shipping company. So I have this financial controller who is my boss, who I do not have the best relationship with. Less than 3 months into the work, we had an argument, we quarreled, and then we was being called into our managing director's office. We had to be separated into different job scope, to a point that when she was asking me to do certain accounting stuff, I shouted back at her and I would say that, oh, we don't need to do all these things. We can burn all the documents because we don't need this at all. So it gets really bad, only because she wants things to be done her way, and I was asking her how she would be able to help me to develop as a young profession. And I think it all boils down to being the first job. You always have that urge, right? You want to prove yourself that you can do a lot of things, and then first coming into a job, you're like, I'm a degree in accounting and finance, I can do a lot more, but you ask me to key in every day just at a computer, so I don't feel good about it, and I do not know how to communicate with her. So that's how we started our conflict and escalated very fast.
So this was your first job?
This was my first job, and the most memorable one, because even up to this day, if I were to meet her, she would still tell people, this is the one who wants to burn all my documents. she has so much hatred for me.
That's very daring of you, Alan. I would have taken that from someone like you. But so this is a story with a superior, a very dramatic story. So what about the other way around? Has anyone ever had a troubling experience with a subordinate? So I would like to pass that question to Aziman. Have you ever had any trouble with subordinates or any stories like that?
Yes. Let me recall for a moment. Okay. Yes. A little background story about how my career is. I've been working for the government for 9 years now, and during the early few years, I was a junior, so I was pretty young. And I remember I was posted in Youth and Sports Department, JBS, and I was posted there as the head of administration and finance, because that's what my post is assigned to. And I was going to replace a senior officer there. So in a way, it's like I'm his successor, but he was still there. So I took the opportunity to learn from him on how to deal with processes and works and tasks that's given to me. Now, I remember this because I was snatched there. I came into that job 2013, and it was just my third day there. And then my senior was there, was about to leave me, but he wanted to see how I work with our staff. So this is what happened. So a staff came late to work a lot of times, frequently, and he wanted to see how I would deal with the situation, how I would tackle her, like why would he keep me to work. So he came to our office because I will be taking over his office, right? So it was me, the senior officer was going about to leave, and he called in that one late staff that came all the time. So he was in this small room, and then she kept quiet the whole time. And that was a difficult situation that I have. She wouldn't say a word. So having a spear looking at me, so let me show me your skills, how you deal with a problem. So very it was in Malay, so I will try my best to translate it in English, and how this is how it works. Why are you late now? According to the attendance sheet, you've been coming like after 7:45. Is there anything wrong with you? She kept quiet the whole time. Like I was pressured. So he's looking at me. She's looking at me. Sometimes she puts the floor because she doesn't want to respond to anything. Like, how would I bring up to have her say a word or something? Because I had no idea. I had no experience. How do I make her speak? Mind you that she's a bit older than I am, so I don't know whether I don't have her respect or anything associated to that. And that's how I felt like, I don't know, what should I do? Help me! Help me how to speak to her. And she's like, okay, let me take this word. So my senior talked to her, and coming from a very senior age, he can do whatever he wants. He could say whatever he wants. It's something like, oh. So he goes like, why are you so late at work? You'll be late every time, all the time. It says like you don't care about coming to work. Why do you have to do this? And then you know this will affect your performance, and this will affect your bonus, and we make penalize. That didn't help. So the way that he talked to her like that, with anger, with power, she still kept quiet. She didn't say a word at all. So the soft way didn't work. The hard way didn't work too. So at the end of the day, we just dismiss her, go back to your table, and then just like, don't be late again. that was it, yeah. So that was a difficult situation because I didn't know what to do, and it was just left at that.
So both end of the extremes didn't really work at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So wow, these are like very dramatic experiences you've had, and now this is like for you it was 8 years ago. 13 years ago. You've been. How long has that been? That experience was.
When I was 25, 26, 27, 27 years old maybe.
So 3 to 4 years ago, somewhere like that.
5 years ago.
So
5 years ago.
5 years ago, 12 years ago. I'm sure both of you have grown ever since then and learned new skills and learned new working experiences. So with that being said, as someone who's trained in behavior and interpersonal communication, what would you both do differently? Would anyone want to start? Would you like to start, Alan?
I can share with you some experience that I've been through. The first job I had, I was as an accountant, right? So I moved on. I still stay as an accountant, but it was with another company, so with an oil and gas company. So it was not with colleague anymore. Instead of having just one boss that I need to report to, I need to report to 4 different bosses. And 4 different bosses come from different background. I have a French, I have a local lady, I have a Philippine, and I have an Indian guy that I have to report to. As you can see, all this plays different role in how you report to them. They ask things differently, they want things differently at different time. From there, it was my first experience on understanding how to deal with people's expectation. I think the first thing is you need to communicate with them what's the expectation of you as an employee. Because the first one, when I went in, I was like, I'm fresh grade, I want to do big stuff, I want to do great things, so let me tell you how you should work with me. So that got me into trouble. But the second job was like, I went and asked around my bosses, how do you want me to present my report to you? How do you want me to work with you? What is the best way for me to communicate with you? So they pretty much give me their expectation. For example, the local boss was like, just give me straight to the point. Tell me how much money do I make and how much money do I lose. The French guy was very nice. He would always sit me down and he would always talk to me about family. I was like, oh, okay. He's a bit older as well. The Philippine boss was a bit more friendly. He's like he's not around my age, but then he behaves like around my age. So we had good time chatting with each other. So from you can see, right? I have different. Every time when I bring in the same report, I have to use different ways of presentations to them because they wanted to present it different ways. So that was how I learned. That was in my second job. And then of course, as time moved by, I changed my job. I become a salesperson. My difficult people that I have to deal with are all my clients, like all the people that I have not met with. Because you have never met them before, you need to know how to deal with them. The first time expectation. Nobody likes to talk with a salesman. That's for sure. If they see you coming from this angle, they will run away. So that was how I have to learn how to deal with people's expectation again. So every time when I jump into different career, I learn different things. I can share that a little bit more later after we hear a little bit from Aziman. Then once I get a bit more questions, I'll be able to answer you my experience again. Can we do that?
Yeah.
All right.
So, Aziman, how would you tackle the experience you've shared?
Yeah. After being exposed to work, because I've been moving around offices, and I tend to know what kind of style of an officer that I am. I'm the type that tries to be friends with everyone. So I would say hi, I would greet them. I try as hard as I can to remember the name so it feels more personal to them. So this is how I can build that relationship, build the trust, build the openness for them to share with everyone. And to me, it applies to all levels of the organization. It could be a cleaner, it could be my subordinate, my supervisor, my pay. It doesn't matter, I treat him the same level of respect. So I would say hi, I would say thank you to anybody who would do the job well. Through that, and of course my community thing, I would have, going back to that time, if I could do it again, with the things that I've learned through coaching people, I think I've learned a lot through the interpersonal communication manner that I've learned. Through asking them the proper way. So when you engage with an employee, what do you treat them as? Like just another staff in the office, another person, or you treat them like a friend, or you know, because you work in an organization together. So I try to start off with having conversations. Hi, how are you? How's the family? How's it? What did you do last weekend? So it start off easy. So it becomes a small talk, and it becomes more conversational, and then we can start talking about what's the deal, what's on the table. So you with me now, like approaching a staff, regardless of whether they're quite older than I am, my peers, my colleagues, I would have started with having a normal conversation and ask them, so through evidence, of course, through the attendance rate, so I'm going to see that you have been coming late at work. May I know why? Is there anything that we could work together to make this do better? So this is where I try not to point at that person, but I don't think it's her fault. Maybe it's a situation, circumstance that we don't understand, and we don't let them have that opportunity to share or express what's the problem. And this is where I would try to know. Maybe it could be a genuine reason. For me, a genuine reason that why they're late at work because they have to send their kids to school, and that can't be helped. So we need to understand that yes, okay, that is something that you have to do as a parent. And how would you compensate this? Maybe you can work during lunchtime, maybe less breaks, less party, or you go home a little bit late. So you try to compensate. So I think through talking, probably like opening up to her and try to understand her situation, I would have dealt it better back then than now.
Okay.
But there's also a time where I have the same experience with Aziman as well. I started venturing into business a few years ago, so I run a company with a few staff. Same thing, first time boss. So what do? You try to be friendly with everyone. So I walk in every morning. I walk in and say, "Hey, morning!" Fist bump with every single of my staff. So I thought like they would vote for me to be the best boss ever, right? But it doesn't work that way. Because I had a difficult staff as well, who would always come late. And every time I asked her, like, "Oh, why are you late?" She would give me all sorts of reasons like, "There's no transport today, I missed the bus today," to a point that she was telling me I had to walk to work. I'll give some background stories. I run business in Syria. She stays in KV. So she ran out of excuses and she come to me and said, "I'm late today because I missed the bus and I have to walk all the way from KV to Syria." I don't know how you react to it, but as a nice person, I look at her, in my mind, I knew she was lying, but I do not know how to confront her. Because what should I say? "You're lying, there's no way you can walk 20 kilometers. I can't, she's my staff." So the first thing I actually let her go, I'm like, "Oh, walk. Oh, that's so tough of you. You're such a good staff. Next time walk faster." So it went out of hand. Second time, again, she was like, I was late. But then this time, it's even worse. Why? Because this is Syria, that is KB. And she was telling me, she was like, I was late because I was walking from KB. She was pointing at a different direction. I knew that if I don't confront her immediately, all my other stuff will be affected as well because everyone is looking at me. So what I learned is that sometimes, even if you want to communicate with someone, difficult, there is no way that you can find a way to reach out to them because they don't want to be communicated with. And if they choose not to be communicated with, I think we should not waste energy. Because the more we waste energy on people who don't want to be communicated with, I think at the end of the day we are suffering ourselves, and then you don't yield any result. So what happened was that later part she'll come to me and say that, sorry boss, I'm allergic to coffee, so I don't want to work in the kitchen. So I told her, it's okay, if you're allergic to coffee, no problem, I'll try to arrange you some other task. So for the next 2 weeks, I made her the kitchen. I made her dealing with coffee every other day that she resigned herself. And I feel like sometimes this is very important because when you're dealing with difficult people, right, sometimes you do not know how to make the tough decision. As part of management, you need to learn how to sell your stuff out. And I think this is one skill that eventually all of us will have to learn because as we climb up the corporate ladder, you have to make the right choice. Imagine if I do not make the right choice, what happened to the other 6 staff? They will do the same thing, and the whole business and the whole company will collapse. So that was the biggest lesson that I learned. But what made me feel better was that 2 months later, I saw her working at Starbucks. So she's not allergic to coffee at all. So I feel like, okay, I did the right thing. So my staff will come back to me, hey boss, you know, she's working in Starbucks. Yeah, I know. Then they come and say, oh, you're such a good person. So I'm like, okay, get my credit back again. So I think this is one thing that I can resonate with Aziman saying that sometimes it's tough because they don't want to be communicated with. Yeah.
I have something that I can relate to, but it's not.
Sure.
Suddenly it becomes a father talk, right?
It's interesting because it's not how what I explained, but it's what I observed from my boss. So this is in my new office at PMO, where for her values when it comes to dealing with people is that I don't care if you like me, as long as you do your job. Or at least I'm doing what I paid for, because of course you understand there's a certain expectation that you need to fulfill. As long as you deliver that, then it's fine. So I think it's there. The way you see it this time is like it's okay not to be liked at work as long as we get the job done. So I think that's what the value that I can take from her as well. I try as much as I can to be approachable for everyone, but when it comes to a point where I'm dealing with someone very difficult to deal with, to work with, but I still have to, you don't have to like me, but let's just get this job done. So that's one thing that I could relate to your
Yeah, it goes back to the objective, like
yes.
at the end of the day, what do you want to achieve?
Yes.
How do you want to be communicated with? What do you want to do?
It's so interesting take on both of you. So to sum it all up, from an employee, set your expectations to your superiors, what they expect from you as an employee. And from you, your story would be, take the friendly approach, take some time to get to know them and what to know and why they're late or whatever reason it was. So we have 2 different approaches here, and both of you also introduced a lot of interesting things about dealing with difficult people, and at a certain point you have to put your foot down and do something with it. So, okay, before we move to the last 2 questions, I'll be, for the audience members, there will be a question and answer session later, so we can prepare your questions, or maybe like an event or like a situation you have now that maybe you want both of these to answer. So if you have any questions, do please prepare it later. So moving on to the second last question. You both seem to be a very friendly person. I work under you, so I would know. So yes, he's my boss, everyone. How about people who are not naturally friendly? And like both of you said, you both are naturally friendly, you're both naturally amiable and approachable. How about someone who's maybe straightforward, maybe not exactly socially, not very people-oriented? Would you say they have to go that way, the friendly route? understand their root as well. Would anyone want to start?
I'll start first. I think I don't. Okay, to begin with, I am not the friendly person to begin. I'm a friendly person. I think the toughest thing for me over the last few years in trying to be able to have successful communication with each other is that, number one, I don't know how to articulate my thoughts, which means that sometimes you have one thing in your mind, right? But when you say it out, it sounded differently, and sometimes it creates misunderstanding. So that was my first challenge. Number two, sometimes I try to be friendly, but I do not know how to say it in a nice way. So for example, when we want to confront someone or we want to give appraisals to our staff, they don't do such a great job this year, they did not hit the targets, they did not hit the performance, but how do you say it in such a way that they are not demotivated? So along the years, what I've learned is, number one, how to articulate the thoughts so that you mean what you think. Number two, you're able to give feedback or give evaluations on someone's performance in a way that they want to listen to. Even if at the end of the day, they know that they might not meet their expectation, but they're not motivated. You don't want to crush their confidence. So I think these are the two things that I've learned over the years. Am I still friendly? I think I'm still very friendly, very approachable, still very approachable. But right now, I have a clarity on where I want to go, how I want to talk to people, and how I want to deal with different people. Yeah, that's my take.
I'm going to help you promote your training consultancy thing. I understand that back then now. Okay. So basically, when you deal with I would take this context, a difficult boss. This boss of mine, not my immediate one, but above one. Yeah. This boss is very, very temperamental. So, not the type, boss, how's your day? How's work? How did you enjoy golf this last weekend? No, it's not that kind of conversation, because you would always hear him scream outside the door to an employee. I was in queue waiting a project proposal, and we've been listening to him yelling, shouting for 5 minutes straight to this woman because she didn't do her job well. So maybe because of some mistakes or like this little thing, you could hear him scream through the door. We will just get quiet, like look at the secretary, like, oh yeah, that's tough. And then she went up. It's our turn to go in. It's like, hi boss, I need to present you something. He's cool. He didn't like, what do you want? No, because it was at that person. It's not to me because I didn't do anything wrong yet. So what I remember this because it was the celebration for the 31st National Day celebration. So our task was to bring 30 youth from each district. So 30. But it was due to popularity miscalculation, they had 31 for each district. So like, how are we going to approach this one? How are we going to make this all right? So we come up to him, straight to the point, boss, you want the 30, but we have 31. But look, it's a 31st National Day celebration. We have 31 participants. Don't you think it would tally with the numbers? Oh, that makes good sense. Okay, go. When I say that, I skipped all the flowers, all the long sentence like, oh, it's a very beautiful day today. With this objective, we will have to make sure that it will be a very successful event. No, I skipped straight to the point. You want 30, I gave you 31, but this is a good 31. And you will be okay with this? Yes. Keep it straightforward. Because I think that's what he wants to know, direct. So he's more of the D of the quadrant. So I need to talk to him as a more direct. Not too afraid, not too specific. He just wants the details and they just give it to them what he exactly wants. And then I got away without getting yelled at. So yes, there's different ways of dealing with it. We just need to know what the person exactly wants. Not for long chit chat, but straight to the point.
Interesting. So to summarize from Alan is being able to articulate your own sentences and to properly learn how to evaluate certain people. And for Aziman, it's to understand the different people and how to deal with them as well as elaborate. So, yeah. So if you want to know more about the D, what he's talking about, you can go to Alan or Ruben later. They have a consultant company that can teach you more about that. So anyways, moving on to the last question before we move on to the question and answers from the audience. Hopefully everyone has maybe a scenario they have in mind, or I don't know, students or group mates that they have trouble with. So moving on to the last question. Let's make it general. Any practical tips to maybe newbie employees or people who are new to the work environment? So, Aziman, would you like to start?
Okay, practical. Okay, since it's practical, right? I think there is no. When we talk about dealing with difficult people, right? I think some of you come in here hoping to have some solutions and all this. By now you realize that a lot of it is actually very situational basis, it's very theoretical basis, and you don't actually have a chance to practice it. You can't really go back right now and say, okay, now I have this difficult boss, I'll go back and I'll try this with my boss and see if you like it or not. Unless you have 9 lives, I don't think you'll survive the next performance appraisal. What I can really suggest is, for example, Toastmasters, UBD Toastmasters is a good platform where you would be able to learn all these skills from. The reason why I'm promoting Toastmasters as well is because I actually learned both of my skills from Toastmasters about 3-4 years ago, back in 2013-14. The first thing that I learned was, as you can see, the table topics that I attempted earlier on, right? So that was the kind of exercise that I've gone through every other week, trying to understand, okay, if this is what I'm thinking, can I articulate what I'm thinking, put my thoughts into words? You can't really practice it, you can't really go back home and look in the mirror and practice by yourself because no one's going to give you any feedback. Toastmasters was where I started in understanding. Table topics was where I learned all these skills. Second, in how to give better feedback, I think later on some of the Toastmasters members, they might be able to share with you some of the skills, how they give feedback. Like right now, my staff, every time they come to me with an idea, they say, hey boss, I actually got this promotional idea, it's very good. And they show me this poster that they made, but I know the poster is not really up to par. I cannot go to them and say, oh, this is such a bad poster. I can't. So what I learned is that I go to them and say, I'm not talking about you, Human. That's all the poster, but this is for another company, not you. He did a very good poster, you can check it out. So for one myself, he has all the initiative, but he is not a designer. So he come up with PowerPoints and come up with some poster. So he come very excited to me and said, hey, Alan, I got this, this is very good. So what do you say? I go to him and say, there's such a good effort that you put in. You are one of the most enthusiastic staff that I ever had. Such a good idea, let me have a look. Wow, not too bad. I think we can add on a little bit things here and it can become a better poster. By the way, I have another staff who is really good in designing. I will let him have access to you so that you both can talk to each other and bring some ideas. He's very happy. He feels that he's appreciated. He knows that he can learn from someone better. He's a happy staff. Happy staff, happy boss. That's the question. But what I'm trying to tell you is practical way. I don't think there is one practical way of doing this. You have to practice it. Where to find? Then the question is, where can you find a platform to practice it? Toastmasters is a good platform to start with. So this is my take.
Okay, I'll keep in mind when you say, nice job. Anyways, so for Aziman, we have Alan gave Toastmasters. Maybe like you've mentioned you want to share certain etiquettes in the office. Maybe that's a practical tip you can give.
Yeah, well, when Alan tried to relate to Toastmasters, I have a term for this, and I practice it at work. And I think in Toastmasters for the expo members, it's called servant leadership. So this is where you actually, who you actually are serving. So meaning middle management. So you are actually attending to your boss and also your subordinates. So you're the middle person that need to tend to both stakeholders. So one may have a different message. One may want to scold the lower subordinate. It's up to you to pass the message, but you copy paste 100% what your boss said to your subordinate. No, you try to make the best out of it to make sure that both are in a good harmony. I would say. You don't want to like, oh, boss says you're late and you have a very bad work. So I don't want to say that to him, even though he said it to me. If I want to pass it to him, perhaps you would like to revisit this. Can we look together this? Identify what's the mistake and what can we work on. So I would have translated it to that way. because I think being the middle management is like you need to make sure that both sides are happy and at the same time happy boss.